Hey guys, hope you are all doing well today. So we have a matchup between the Lizardmen, led by me as usual, going up against the forces of the Beastmen. Traditionally, this is a matchup that's pretty heavily favored for the the Lizardmen. The Beastmen barely have any weapons to take down big old dinos such as this Thunderous one and of course Mazdamundi on his lock. Two very, very beefy, powerful, and tough dinos to take down. For the Lizardmen army, we're going to have a front line of Saurus warriors with shields. Will perform decently against pretty much all the Beastmen infantry. Exception may be Bestigors. I'm not too sure how that matchup would fare out, but we do have one unit of the cohort of Sotek in the backlines, probably going to be sticking around Mazdamundi to protect him throughout the battle. That's usually why I leave them in the backlines. We have one Bestildon with a solar engine to do some sniping, of course the Thunderous one bringing his lightning bolts to the fight, and he also does have his missile attacks since he is classified as a ancient Stegodon. And of course the big thickness Lord Mazdamundi himself, coming in with Apotheosis, Shield of the Old Ones, Banishment. Comet I brought by accident, I forgot to take off the Comet, but we also have Curse of the Midnight Wind, Harmonic Convergence, and Net of Amintok. This may seem like a lot of spells, but Mazdamundi has a ton of Winds of Magic, and he can definitely handle a lot of these spells over the course of the battle. We also have 3 units of Pterodon Riders, Vanguard deployed, currently beelining for some Ungor Raiders. On the Beastmen side of things, we have a front line of Ungor Spearmen herd mixed in with a couple Gore herd with shields who will get absolutely crumped by the Saurus warriors of the Lizardmen, along with their dinos of course. And we do have the Destroyers of Drakwall, the Regiment of Renowned Ungor Spearmen herd. They're backed up by a couple units of Chaos Spawn, some unbreakable monstrous infantry who should do a decent job of beating down the Lizardmen front line. In the backlines, we have 2 units of Ungor Raiders, double Cygor, a Brace Shaman of Beasts. Let's see what this guy's bringing in. Probably Manticore Summoning. Yep. And Wyson's Wild Form, not a spell you get to see quite often. Of course, I mentioned the double Cygor, one of which is the Eye of Morsleep, and we have Morgur the Shadowgave coming in with his Chaos Spawn summons. Yep. Gonna be quite powerful in that regard. Probably the most mainstream Beastman Lord currently in the game. You can pretty much bring him in every fight that you see as the Beastman. Anyways, as the battle starts, we do get a very, very powerful rock drop into these Ungor Raiders from 2 units of Pterodon Riders, and the third one does get into these Ungor Raiders. And these guys are just about ready to rout right away. We do have a summoned Manticore trying to fight off these Pterodons, and looks like they will be doing just that. And these Pterodons will be leaving the battlefield for now. The Cygors initially trading some fire into the Thunderous one. They should be going after infantry since those explosive rocks do a lot more damage against infantry units than monsters, but of course you can never go wrong with trying to take down the big dinos of the Lizardmen, since that is of course the biggest threat. And it is doing a decent bit of HP damage. You can see the health bar slowly but surely decreasing. The Ungor Raiders have been weakened but are stabilized now. Their leadership is slowly rising, and now they are going to be trying to chase off these Pterodon Riders, as is this Manticore, who will soon be unsummoned or desummoned. And now the front lines engage, and unfortunately Beastmen will be completely crumped as they do not have too much support from those Cygors in melee, and looks like Morgur along with the Beastcaster is also really far from their army. And so the Beastmen front lines are going to be falling apart as the unbreakable Chaos Spawn will eventually get beaten down by the dinos. You can see Mazdamundi surrounded by some Chaos Spawn, and they are doing practically nothing to the Great Zlok. He is just absolutely mowing them down right by himself. Cygor though is getting good value for his shots since the Lizardmen infantry is grouped up around these Chaos Spawn, and so each of those rock throws is going to be getting a couple kills each of. these Saurus warriors. The Pterodon riders coming in for some cycle charging on the Ungor raiders, trying to knock them out of the fight since those are probably the biggest threats to the dinos, but with only 2 of them, even they will have a tough time in this matchup. You can see the Saurus warriors flanking around, going to be hitting these Chaos Spawn from behind and likely knocking them out of the fight very, very soon, and the Solar Engine getting some very decent shots into a lot of the routing gore herds. How is this guy tired? He hasn't moved one bit the entire game. I guess you get tired from shooting, but yeah, I'm not exactly too sure. You can see the balance of power is surprisingly going in favor of the Beastmen, though that is just the way these games go. Beastmen usually have a pretty favorable balance of power, and you can never really judge the game based on that. Usually it's because of summons from Morgar himself, which he hasn't used yet, but once they do and they despawn, you will see the balance of power starting to switch. Another summoned Manticore currently getting kited by a lot of the Pterodon riders, and he should be desummoning soon without really doing too much damage. And now the Solar Engine is going to be unloading the last of his shots into the Ungor raiders, and of course once this Manticore is gone, like he just went, the Pterodon riders will be turning and attempting to take out these Ungor raiders. And now the Lizardmen have 2 pockets of resistance, one of which is headed by the Thunderous One and the other by the Great Lord Mazdamundi. The Cygor still taking shots. The Eye of Morsleep has been getting a ton of value for his rock throws. You can see, let's see, yeah, 34 kills against Saurus warriors. That is pretty good since they don't have the greatest numbers, 75, but each of their units is pretty heavily armored and shielded, and they are pretty tough to take down from the infantry alone. So those rock throws are really doing quite a bit of damage, and the Lizardmen infantry, even though they did win the fight significantly, they have taken a ton of damage from those Cygors, and the Beastmen have managed to mostly reform their lines. Looks like the Pterodon riders are taking a dive into some of the Ungors. Unfortunately, they get caught by a couple Chaos Spawn, but as long as they get back into the skies and kite them with their poison darts, they should be doing just fine. And now Mazdamundi charging into the likes of some Ungor spearmen and will likely be wrecking their cause, completely destroying them, and there they go. They are terrified. Will likely be returning soon when the terror wears off. We do have a summon. Nope, summon was cancelled. And is this a summoned unit? I believe this is a summoned unit of Chaos Spawn. Unfortunately, they are wasting their valuable summon time by just standing around, but they should be going after Lord Mazdamundi. Another Chaos Spawn coming in, and that should be the last one that Morgar has available. The Cygors are unloading the last of their ammunition, and the Solar Engine, on the other hand, has completely run out of ammunition. Let's see how many kills he's gotten. He's gotten a couple kills into like Ungor Raiders and Spear Herds, so yeah, 75, a decent amount, and now he will be running into melee. And wow, look at this balance of power as those Chaos Spawn come in. Completely shifts away from the Lizardmen, almost, well, no, not even close to, well, it's kind of close to army losses, but not really, since the Lizardmen still do have a very sizable force. I still don't see too many options on the Beastmen roster for taking down this double dinosaur that is absolutely shrekking these Chaos Spawn. Of course, the double Cygor, I'm not sure how they would duel with like Bastillodons and Stegodons, but we will have to see that in the late game. These Chaos Spawn soon to be leaving the fight, as it will fade into the ground, leaving both these dinos still relatively healthy. Lord Mazdamundi actually does have missile attacks. I believe there's some chameleon skinks sitting in front of him, throwing in their missiles and gradually poisoning units. That's just one of the many buffs or debuffs that Lord Mazdamundi provides to those who decide to fight him. And now we have the Bastillodon going head to head with a Cygor. Let's see who will be winning this matchup of monstrous proportions. As you can see, a banishment going through some gore herds and will be completely destroying their lines, and they will likely be routing soon due to terror. Not really sure who would win in a fight between a Bastillodon and a Cygor. Bastillodons by themselves cost about 650, and I'm guessing the Cygors cost more than that. But yeah, I'm not sure. We'll see who is the superior monster in this game. Morgr had been taking a couple hits from Lord Mazdamundi along with the Thunderswan, and he is attempting to disengage as quickly as possible. That is not a fight that he wants to be in at all. He is quite tough to take down, but unfortunately those monsters will make very, very quick work of him. As you can see, his HP decreasing by around like 500 with every hit. Massive amounts, but his regeneration should be able to bring him back up to a healthy amount, as the Eye of Morsleep, having used all his ammunition, does charge into battle, and we have a fight between the Thunderswan and Zlok and the Great Eye of Morsleep. Definitely a battle of huge proportions. The Lizardmen will be taking this fight, especially due to the fact that they have Mazdamundi with his debuffs, including the Curse of Midnight Wind, which is currently down, and you can see this Eye of Morsleep is getting completely and utterly demolished. Some Saurus warriors have returned to the fight and will be attempting to take out the Beastcaster, but Morgr is there to intercept them. Let's see how this duel is going on the other hand. So the Bastildon is actually winning. He does have a Harmonic Convergence, which is probably the reason he's winning. But yeah, it looks like the dinos are able to crump these Cygors. Happily enough for me, of course, I am a Lizardman main, so I love to see this kind of thing. This Cygor still does have some ammunition, so if he could get a couple rear hits into Lord Mazdamundi or the Thunderswan, it could be decent value. And looks like the Saurus warriors have managed to rout the Bray Shaman of Beasts, and will now be taking on Morgr, and Morgr should make quick work of those guys. Some Pterodons routing off the last unit of Ungor Raiders. They are shattered. Should turn and try and chase off this Beastcaster. Cygor disengaging, realizing he is fighting a losing fight, as the Solar Engine gets a rear charge. Man, this, oh my god, and it knocks him down. This Bastildon is just giving him no rest at all. And now Lyson's Wild Form from this Beastcaster coming in on Morgr, and he is going to be taking a couple hits into the Thunderswan. Let's see his, so he currently has 490 weapon strength. That should be enough to do some sizable damage to the Lizardmen monsters, but will it be enough? The Eye of Morsleep is taking so much damage, and looks like the balance of power has moved back to the middle. Slightly Lizardmen favored, if I do say so myself, which is very surprising since I do consider the Lizardmen to have a commanding lead right now. Really, Morgr is the biggest threat left. The Eye of Morsleep has barely any HP. And if this Cygor may get a rear charge and do a little bit of damage to Mazdamundi, but he does have healing himself. And this Bastildon is going to return the favor, and with that, the Lizardmen win the day. Let's check out how each unit did in the end screen. So I was going up against General Disarray, forgot to mention that. And for the infantry, they performed well, you know. Against a double Cygor build, they can't be expected to live for too long since those rock throws are going to be doing so much damage. You can see each of them with over 100 kills. But they performed well in routing Chaos Spawn along with a lot of the Gore herds and Spearman herds. And yeah, I'd say, again, as in most Lizardmen versus Beastmen battles, the dinos really carried the day. The Thunderswan, Lord Mazdamundi, of course, with all his spells, and the Bastildon all combined to win this game. And the Pterodon Riders actually were a bit sneaky in the beginning with their rock drops, managed to almost rout one unit of Ungor Raiders right from the get-go, and they're probably the greatest threat to the Lizardmen Dino, so great playing from those Pterodon Riders. And on the Beastmen side of things, I would say the Cygors definitely got full value for their shots. The Eye of Morsleep was able to use all his ammunition, and the other Cygor used almost all of his ammunition before he was forced into melee. I'd say the one thing is that you shouldn't push Gore Herd and Chaos Spawn into melee alone, especially going up against so many powerful dinos. They will easily get crumped in a matter of seconds, and that would just leave some very weak Cygors, well, weak by themselves, some weak Cygors susceptible to the great Lizardmen dinos. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and I will see you guys in the next one.